Hello, everyone. Um, Something shifted while you were sleeping, not in you, in someone else, someone who's been on the fence about you, stuck between what they want and what they're afraid of, finally made a choice. Hmm, okay, I know that sounds dramatic, but stay with me. Because there's a pattern I keep seeing where people sit in indecision for weeks, months, sometimes years, and then something happens, a moment, a realization, a conversation, a dream, something small that tips the scale, and suddenly they're not stuck anymore. They're moving. Let me describe what this looks like. You may have someone in your life who's been hot and cold, present then distant, interested then pulling back, giving you just enough to keep you wondering, but never enough to feel certain. Some people experience this as exhausting, like you're constantly trying to read signals, decode behavior, figure out where you stand without asking directly, because asking feels too vulnerable. It might feel like you've been in limbo, neither together nor apart, neither moving forward nor fully letting go, just stuck in this uncomfortable middle space. And while you were sleeping last night, while you were dreaming or tossing or finally getting some rest from overthinking this whole situation, they were awake. Let's pause here. This reflection invites you to consider, is there someone whose indecision has been keeping you in limbo? Someone who, cares but won't commit, who shows up but won't define things, who acts interested but won't say it out loud. You may have given up expecting clarity from this person, resigned yourself to the ambiguity, told yourself this is just how it is, and you either accept it or walk away. It's possible you were about to walk away. Maybe you already started, created distance, stopped being so available, stopped making yourself so easy to reach without effort. And that shift in you, that pulling back, that acceptance that maybe this isn't going anywhere, that's what changed things for them. Some people don't realize what they have until they feel it slipping away. They can sit comfortably in the maybe as long as you're sitting there too. But the moment you start to leave, suddenly the maybe becomes unbearable. You may have noticed a change in their energy recently, more texts, more effort, more presence, like they're suddenly trying harder than they have in months. And you might have written it off as temporary, as them sensing you pulling back and just doing enough to keep you on the line without actually changing anything fundamental. It can feel manipulative, like they only want you when you don't want them. Like your attention is only valuable when it's being withdrawn. But what if it's not manipulation? What if it's just finally waking up? This reflection invites you to consider, has this person been showing signs of shifting lately? There's something specific about what big decision means. It's possible the decision is to finally be honest, to stop hiding behind casual, to stop pretending they don't feel more than they're admitting, to risk the vulnerability of actually saying what they want. Or the decision is to commit, to stop keeping one foot out the door, to stop treating you like an option, to actually choose you clearly instead of just letting you hang around in the margins. Maybe the decision is to let go, to stop stringing you along when they know they can't give you what you need, to release you so you can find someone who's actually ready. Some people make the decision to fight, to fix what's broken, to work through the complications instead of using them as an excuse to stay surface level. You may not know yet which decision they made. You might be reading this wondering which way it went, whether they're stepping forward or stepping back. But you'll know soon, because decisions create action, and action is visible. If they decided to commit, you'll see it in how they show up, the consistency, the clarity, the effort that doesn't require you to guess anymore. If they decided to let go, you'll feel it in the withdrawal, the finality, the shift from maybe to no. It can feel scary not knowing which way this is going to land, like you're waiting for a verdict, like your whole emotional state depends on someone else's choice. But here's what matters more than their decision: your decision about their decision. This reflection invites you to consider, if they step forward now, after all this time, is that enough, or is the timing itself a problem? Let me talk about what taking action now actually looks like. It's possible they're reaching out right now, today, with something more substantial than the usual surface level check-in. An actual conversation, an actual acknowledgement of what's been happening between you. Or they're planning it, working up the courage, rehearsing what they're going to say, waiting for the right moment that feels less terrifying than this moment. Maybe the action is internal first. They're processing, shifting how they see you, moving you from the maybe category to the definitely category in their mind. And the external action will follow once the internal shift solidifies. Some people take action slowly. They don't have one big conversation. They just start showing up differently, more present, more consistent, more clear about their intentions through behavior instead of words. You may prefer words. You may need the explicit conversation, the clear statement of intent, the verbal confirmation that yes, this is real, this is happening, we're doing this. And you're allowed to need that. You're allowed to require that someone who wants you says so. That behavior alone isn't enough, that you need both the actions and the words. Because actions can be interpreted multiple ways, but words create clarity, and after months of ambiguity, you deserve clarity. It can feel demanding to require someone to be explicit, like you're forcing them to say things before they're ready, like you're not being patient enough with their process. But you've been patient. You've been sitting in the uncertainty. You've been available while they figured things out. And at some point, patience becomes enabling, becomes accepting less than you deserve because someone can't get their shit together. This reflection invites you to consider, if they take action, what form does that action need to take for you to trust it? There's something about timing I need to address. It's possible this feels too late. Like they had their chance. Like you've already started moving on, and now they want to come back and disrupt the peace you've been building. And that's valid. Someone finally being ready doesn't obligate you to still be available. Their growth doesn't erase the time they made you wait. Their decision doesn't automatically become your decision. You get to evaluate whether this new version of them, this decided version, is someone you actually still want. Some people change their mind about what they want when circumstances change. They see you pulling away and suddenly you're more appealing. But the moment you're available again, the moment the chase is over, they might revert to the same indecisive energy. You may need to test this, not with games, but with genuine observation. Do they maintain the effort once you're accessible, or does the effort drop once they feel secure again? Because patterns matter more than moments. One big decision means nothing if it's not followed by sustained change. It can feel cynical to be suspicious of someone's growth, like you're not giving them credit for evolving, like you're punishing them for past behavior instead of accepting who they're becoming. But protection isn't punishment. Discernment isn't bitterness. You're just requiring proof before you trust again. This reflection invites you to consider is less than #0. 5 is greater than are you still interested if they're finally ready, or have you moved past this? Let me talk about what you might be feeling right now. It's possible you're feeling hopeful, like finally, like this is what you've been waiting for. Like all the patience and the waiting and the uncertainty was leading to this moment where they finally get it. Or you're feeling angry. Like, where was this energy 6 months ago when you were begging for clarity? Why now when you've already started healing? Why does your withdrawal finally make them value you when your presence never did? Maybe you're feeling conflicted. Part of you wants to celebrate that they're finally stepping up. Part of you wants to protect yourself from being hurt again if this doesn't stick. Some people feel relieved, like the decision is finally out of their hands, like they don't have to keep wondering and waiting because the other person is finally making a move. You may feel all of these things at once, hope and anger and relief and fear tangled together in a way that makes it hard to know what you actually want. And that's okay. You don't have to know immediately. You don't have to match their timeline just because they finally made a decision. You can take your time, you can observe, you can see if the action matches the decision, you can require consistency before you fully invest again. It can feel pressuring when someone finally decides and expects you to just fall in line. Like your months of waiting mean you should be grateful they're finally ready. But gratitude isn't required. You don't owe anyone your automatic yes just because they finally did what they should have done months ago. This reflection invites you to consider, what do you actually want to happen here? There's something about your own power I need to highlight. It's possible you've been giving this person all the power. Their decision determines your emotional state. Their choice dictates your next move. Their readiness controls your availability. But you have power too. You get to decide if their decision is enough, if their timing works for you, if you're still in a place to receive what they're offering. You're not a passive recipient of someone else's choices. You're an active participant in your own life. And that means you get to evaluate, question, accept, or reject based on what serves you. Some people forget this. They've been waiting so long that when the person finally comes around, they just say yes without checking in with themselves about whether they even still want it. You may need to ask yourself some hard questions. Do I still feel the same way about this person? Or have I idealized them while waiting? Do I want them? Or do I just want to not have waited for nothing? Because wanting to not have wasted your time isn't the same as actually wanting the person. Sometimes we invest so much in waiting that we feel obligated to see it through, even when we've outgrown what we were waiting for. It can feel like admitting you don't want it anymore means admitting you were wrong to wait, like all that time was wasted. But time spent learning what you need isn't wasted. Time spent discovering you deserve better than uncertainty isn't wasted, even if the outcome isn't what you originally hoped for. This reflection invites you to consider, are you responding to who this person actually is or who you've been hoping they'd become? Let me talk about what happens next. It's possible they reach out soon with clarity, with intention, with an actual conversation about what they want and where they see this going. And when that happens, you get to respond honestly, not based on what you think you should feel, not based on how long you've waited, but based on what you actually feel in that moment. You can say yes, you can say no, you can say maybe, let me see if this sticks. You can say, I need time to process this. Some people feel obligated to have an immediate answer, like they've thought about this person so much that they should know instantly how to respond when the moment finally comes. You may need permission to not know yet, to need time, to require that someone who made you wait understands that you might need to wait too before fully committing. And if they can't handle that, if they need immediate validation after months of giving you none, that tells you something important about whether they've actually changed. Because real growth includes patience, includes understanding that trust has to be rebuilt, includes accepting that their decision doesn't automatically resolve everything that came before. It can feel like starting over, like you're back at the beginning, having to get to know this decided version of them and see if it's sustainable. And maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. Maybe the old version of the relationship was built on uncertainty, and this new version needs a different foundation. This reflection invites you to consider, if you could start fresh with this person, what would you need to be different? You remain in complete control of what you do with this. You can be open, you can be cautious, you can be excited, you can be skeptical. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice reading this has brought up specific feelings about a specific person, maybe anticipation, maybe dread, maybe hope mixed with protection. Whatever it is, honor it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Trust yourself to know what's right. Before we close, I want to ask you something. If someone who's been indecisive suddenly became decisive about you, would that change how you feel about them? Or has the waiting already changed things too much? Drop it in the comments if you want. And this, what would you need to see to trust that their decision is real and sustainable? Overnight, they made a big decision about you and they're taking action now. Maybe to step forward, maybe to step back, maybe to finally be clear after months of confusion. And whatever that decision is, you get to have your own decision about their decision. You get to say yes or no or not yet or prove it. You get to require consistency. You get to protect yourself. You get to choose based on what serves you, not just what they're finally ready to offer. Not eventually, right now, today. Trust yourself with this. Trust that you know what you need. Trust that someone's decision about you doesn't determine your worth. Trust that you can be open to possibility without abandoning your boundaries. I'll see you in the next one. And listen, their decision matters, but yours matters more. Act accordingly.